Peter chapter 3. I'm going to buzz down to verse 7, since we've covered the other parts. Husbands, likewise, dwell with them with understanding, giving honor to the wife as to the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers may not be hindered. Now, may I say tonight that in preparation for this message, I study too much. I study entirely too much, and I write down more than I ever need to say. But I want to get the most out of what I am saying and helping you to understand what the Scripture is saying. And just briefly, is that I think in your outline you see numbers beside the verse. Those numbers beside the verse is called Strong's. I have a Strong's exhaustive concordance, a complete and unabridged. And every word in the Greek has a number. And this Strong's, if you go to that number that I have beside your number in this book, it'll give you every verse that Greek word is in the Bible. So every word that's in the Greek will be in this book. Now, you can also get this online. I've had this book for 40 years. So you can go and get that online. The second thought, well, how do you know what the word means? That just gives you verses. I have what is called Vine's Expository Dictionary of the New Testament. Same thing. I go to any word like preach or preaching, and it will give you a definition of what that word means plus verses. So that's what I do. The second thing that I do, or third thing that I do, is this is called an I have 4 or 5 of these, Evangelical Dictionary of Theology. In other words, how does this verse apply theologically? What I'm trying to say tonight, you cannot take a verse out of context. You have to understand what is God saying in this text, and He'll say whatever. This verse goes back to Genesis chapter 3. So how does this apply to us theologically? It is a theological. What is God saying in this verse? And so this helps me do that as well. Also, I have, it's called, and you'll see in your outline notes, you'll see a list of verses. Don't you see 1 Corinthians 7:3, Ephesians 5:25? You see those verses on your notes? This is called, Ari Torrey did this, it's called the Treasure of Scriptural Knowledge. Over 500,000 scriptural references and parallel passage, and I bought this way back in California in 1982. And what this does is that it goes from Genesis to Revelation, and then it breaks down words, hindrance, wives, husbands, and then it gives you verses that may help you understand what that verse means or what that word means. And so that's what I do, just to name a few. And this one is the complete New Testament. This is the complete word study of the New Testament. And this is the entire New Testament, and it has the numbers over each word. So when I come to 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 7, come down to verse 7, likewise, and it is number, what did I say, 3668. And therefore, regardless of what translation you are in, whether it's likewise or whatever that word means, however it's translated, the number will stay the same. So regardless of what translation, NIV, the New American Standard Version, any translation that you have, it will have the same Greek word and the same Greek number. So no matter what the word is, the Greek will stay the same. So you look up, so that's the reason I go to the Greek, to determine that that word may have 4 or 5 different translations, but it has the same Greek, it has the same meaning. And so this helps me go through every word, every verse, and has the Greek word on top of it so that I can understand what it's saying. By the way, that also is online. After all these years, I'm not having to do that. And then you have, if you go to, how do you pronounce that? Ollie's. Thank you very much. If you go to Ollie's, I would suggest very clearly that if sometimes the Bibles are on sale, different study Bibles, it doesn't hurt to have more than one Bible. And it doesn't hurt to have references and have helps that you can have just in one Bible. And I have about 20 different kinds.
Yeah, we know.
Doing that. Huh?
We've been in your house. We know.
You know. Yeah.
We know.
Husbands likewise dwell with them with understanding, giving honor to the wife as to the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers may not be hindered. Now, may I say tonight that because of not the continuity of this message, you will discover that I will be going and mention the whole verse on occasions, and I may come back and repeat again what those phrases do mean. So it's not that I'm not going to go in sequences. And as I've said before, this is a Bible study, and more than that, I'm not preaching. I'm trying to help you understand what the text says without being in a sermon context and application. Finally, verse 7 turns the table. How does a husband win an unsaved wife? How does a Christian husband treat a Christian wife? That's less frequently happens, but it does. So it says, you husbands likewise. And I like that word likewise. We'll get to that in just a few moments. What does it mean, likewise, Peter? Submit to. It means submit to. You husbands likewise submit to. Like the other submitting in the rest of these verses. There's a submission on our part. There is a submission on the part of the husband. Go back and read Ephesians 5:21. It says, submit yourselves to one another. Wives to the husbands, husbands to the wife. So there is a submission by the wife and by the husband. We don't submit to the authority of the wife. We don't submit to the leadership of the wife, to the headship of the wife, but we do submit, listen to this, follow this, this is very important, to the needs of the wife. We submit to the needs of the wife. We're subordinate. We subordinate our own little world and our own little agenda to meet the needs of the woman who is our wife, even if she is not a Christian. Verse 7 says, you husbands likewise, you have to submit just like the wife, just like an employee, just like a citizen, And he's talking to Christian husbands. You husbands. It means he's writing to the scattered believers. You're the Christians, and you've got to take care of your wife. What if every man would take care of their mate? That's all that God asks. Take care of your mate. Take care of the ones that you're living with. Taken care of. By the way, in that culture, in 62 AD, a man could just kill his wife. According to the Roman law, says if you were to catch your wife in an act of infidelity, you could kill her without a trial. But if she kissed you, she wouldn't venture to touch you with a finger. She'd had no rights. So you could just kill your wife if you just wanted to get rid of her. But what is the responsibility of a Christian husband when he has an unsaved wife as well as a saved wife? Should he bolt the situation and say, I'm going to find me a Christian girl, you're out of here? What would be his attitude? I want to give you three things in the process of this sermon, but not all at once, and I think I listed them for you. Three things. Number one, and very briefly, consideration. The first word, I'll mark this outline in three words, but I'm going to expand on it. The first word is consideration. I think and I've taught lessons on all of this. I've had biblical counseling, and I've taught on marriage and relationships, and I've tried to help people with that area. Consideration is the first word. Consideration. The phrase that we're going to be looking at later is live with your wife in an understanding way. Oh boy, this is good. Live with your wife in an understanding way. That is a command, by the way. It is a command. It is not a suggestion. It's not by inference. It is a direct command by God that you are to dwell with your wife in an understanding way. And I'll get to that maybe tonight. Number two, secondly, not only is there to be a consideration, but there is to be a chivalry. Chivalry. I'll get to that as we go along in this message. And that's a good old word, ain't it? It's chivalry. And Bob Temple, for instance, probably Sandra has never got out of the car, opened her own door in the 4 years they've been married. He's from the old school. He never lets his wife get in the car or get out of the car without him opening the door. I can get my wife to do that because she's always driving, so immediately when she gets to the car, she opens the door, so I understand that.